Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're asking a question a lot of sailors think, but don't always say out loud. Is sailing still fun, or has it just become expensive work? We all got into this life for the same reasons: freedom, peace, connection to nature, that quiet joy when the sails fill and the engine goes silent. But somewhere along the way, things can start to shift. The maintenance list gets longer, the bills keep stacking up, and before you know it, your days on the water start feeling more like obligation than adventure. It's a tough thing to admit, but it happens to more of us than you'd think. The dream doesn't die, but it changes, and if you're not careful, the joy gets buried under layers of chores, upgrades, and pressure. So in this video, we're going to take a hard, honest look at that balance between the love of sailing and the weight of owning a boat. We'll break down the hidden stressors, the financial drain, and the burnout that creeps in. But we'll also talk about how to get the magic back. Because sailing can still be fun, you just have to protect it. Let's dive in. For most of us, the dream starts with the sail, that quiet glide through the water, the engine off, just the wind and the sea and maybe a cup of coffee in hand. That's the magic. That's the part that hooks you. But once you own the boat, you quickly realize something. For every hour you actually spend sailing, you'll likely spend 2 or more fixing, cleaning, planning, or troubleshooting. And that's where the tension starts to build. It begins innocently enough. You want to polish the stainless, maybe replace some old lines, then the head clogs, the bilge pump fails, the batteries go soft, the GPS starts rebooting at random. Suddenly, your relaxing weekend turns into a full-blown maintenance session in 90-degree heat while knee-deep in tools and swear words. Every boat owner knows this dance. There's always something that needs doing. The varnish never stays fresh, the canvas starts to fade, and that one locker always smells a little off. Some folks actually enjoy the tinkering, and if that's you, you're in luck. But for others, especially retirees or folks with limited time, the to-do list becomes a burden that's hard to ignore. What makes it trickier is that the boat is your escape. So when it starts to feel like work, it hits harder. You're spending your weekends sanding and servicing instead of sailing and sipping coffee at anchor. You start to question if the ratio is worth it. The joy is still there, but you have to work harder to find it. And sometimes that effort starts to feel like a second job. Part of the problem is that sailboats live hard lives. Saltwater is relentless. The sun beats everything into submission. Even when sitting still, boats are slowly being destroyed by time and exposure. That means ownership comes with constant upkeep. There's no getting around it. So, what's the answer? For some, it's scaling back, choosing a smaller boat, simplifying systems, or accepting a little wear and tear. For others, it's reframing the work itself. Maintenance not as a chore, but as a ritual that connects you to your vessel. Either way, you have to find your own balance. Because if the boat starts feeling like a burden more than a blessing, you're going to lose the thing you loved in the first place. And that's a high price to pay for something that's supposed to set you free. Ask any longtime sailor what they spend on their boat, and chances are they'll laugh before answering. Not because it's a joke, but because it hurts a little. Boat ownership isn't cheap, and over time, those costs have a way of sneaking up and piling on. Before you know it, your peaceful little escape starts feeling like a slow financial leak. It starts with the basics: moorage, insurance, registration, then come the regulars: bottom paint, haul-outs, engine service, rigging inspections. And then the surprises: a failed autopilot, a blown-out sail, a cracked-through hull. Each one hits your wallet, and each one seems to arrive just when you thought you were in the clear. Marine gear isn't like home gear. It's almost always more expensive. Even something as simple as a stainless bolt can cost triple if it's marine grade. Electronics? Don't even start. A basic chart plotter setup can set you back a couple grand. Need a new dinghy? Better sit down for the price tag. It adds up quickly. And unlike a house, your boat is constantly depreciating. What's worse is the stress that comes with it. You start second-guessing your spending. Should you get the cheaper part or invest in the good stuff? Can you delay this repair, or will it bite you later at sea? Are you enjoying your boat, or just hemorrhaging money into it? These thoughts creep in, especially when the costs start eating into your other plans: vacations, family visits, even retirement savings. Some folks combat this by doing all their own work. That helps, but it takes time, tools, and know-how. Others downsize or switch to trailerable boats. Some just bite the bullet and keep writing checks. But the financial tension is real, and it can chip away at the joy if you let it. The other hidden cost? Opportunity. Every dollar going into the boat is a dollar not going into something else. That's fine if you're sailing often and loving it. But if your boat is sitting in the slip while life keeps you busy, the stress starts to outweigh the value. So, is sailing still fun when it costs so much? It can be, but you got to go in with eyes wide open. Set a realistic budget. Build in room for the unexpected. And most of all, make sure you're actually sailing your boat, not just paying to own it. Because fun is priceless, but it's hard to enjoy if your wallet's always hurting. One of the sneakiest joy killers in sailing today is the pressure to upgrade everything. Step into any marina, sailing forum, or YouTube comment section, and you'll find endless opinions on what gear you need. New chart plotters, AIS systems, lithium batteries, water makers, solar arrays, electric winches, the list never ends. And if you don't have all the latest toys, well, you're not really prepared. Or worse, not taking safety seriously. It's exhausting and expensive. Of course, some upgrades make life better. A reliable autopilot or solar panel setup can be a game changer on long passages. But when every season starts with a long shopping list and a drained wallet, you got to ask, who are you upgrading for? Is it to make sailing easier and more enjoyable, or are you just chasing a moving target of what everyone else says you should have? That's the trap. You start comparing yourself to the fully kitted out cat in the next slip, or the influencer who just rewired their entire boat for $20,000. Suddenly, your perfectly functional systems feel outdated. You stop sailing because you're waiting on that next install, or worse, because you feel your boat isn't ready enough. But here's the truth. Sailing has always been about doing more with less. A well-rigged 30-year-old boat, handled by a confident sailor, will go farther and safer than a $1 million showpiece with a green crew and too many buttons. Skill beats stuff every time. So, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the pressure to keep upgrading, take a breath. Ask yourself, what really matters? Will this upgrade bring more freedom, more joy, more time on the water, or just more debt and delay? Sometimes, less really is more. There comes a point for many sailors, especially those deep into boat ownership, when sailing starts to feel more like obligation than escape. You look at your boat, and instead of feeling excited, you feel tired. That's when the fun has quietly turned into fatigue. It doesn't always happen suddenly. It creeps in. Maybe it's the endless prep before every sail, the constant cleaning, the growing maintenance list, the engine that won't start again. You start canceling sails because it feels like too much effort. You keep pushing the next trip because you haven't fixed that one thing. Slowly, sailing slips from joy to job. Fatigue also comes from the mental load. Weather planning, system checks, provisioning, watching the budget, it piles up. Even when you're at anchor, part of your brain is on alert. Is the anchor holding? What's the wind doing tonight? Do I have to move tomorrow? And if you're cruising full-time or semi-permanently, the fatigue hits even harder. You're not just sailing. You're living the lifestyle. That means constant logistics, repairs in strange places, language barriers, and always being on. But here's the key. Burnout doesn't mean the end. It means it's time to reassess. Maybe it's time for a break, a season off, a simpler boat, a few weekends with no agenda, just a short sail and a good book. Sometimes letting go of the pressure is all it takes to find the joy again, because sailing should give you energy, not take it all away. After years of ownership, countless repairs, and a fair share of stressful passages, it's easy to forget why you fell in love with sailing in the first place. But the truth is, the joy isn't gone. It's just buried under layers of expectations, obligations, and a to-do list that never ends. Rediscovering the fun isn't about changing your boat, it's about changing your approach. Start by simplifying. You don't need a perfect boat to have a perfect day on the water. Strip things back to the basics. A clean deck, working sails, and a good breeze. Leave the gadgets turned off, skip the long passage plans, and just go for a sail. No mission, no miles to log, no pressure. Just the wind and your hands on the tiller. That's where the joy lives. Next, shrink the scope. You don't have to cross oceans or sail for weeks to enjoy your boat. A short afternoon sail, a lazy drift under Genoa alone, or a night at anchor just one harbor away can do wonders for your spirit. Focus on moments, not mileage. Let yourself fall in love with the small stuff again. Sunsets, seabirds, quiet mornings with coffee in the cockpit. Also, stop comparing. Everyone's sailing story is different. You don't need a brand new boat or a YouTube channel to be a real sailor. You don't need lithium batteries or a satellite dome. If your boat floats, sails, and gives you peace, you've already won. Measuring your experience against others only invites frustration. Sailing isn't a competition, it's a practice, a personal rhythm. Reclaim that. Another powerful trick? Invite someone new aboard. Sharing your boat with a fresh face, someone who's never hoisted a sail or dropped anchor, can help you see it all differently. Their excitement will remind you how magical even the simplest cruise can be. Kids are especially good for this. They don't care about chart plotters, they just want to steer and jump off the transom. Finally, give yourself permission to not be productive. Not every outing has to involve work. Not every sail needs to accomplish something. Just be on the water. nap in the sun, turn off the radio, let the wind decide where you go, or if you go at all. Sailing is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to bring joy, peace, and adventure. If it's not doing that, something needs to shift. Maybe it's your boat, maybe your schedule, or maybe it's just the way you've been looking at it. So take a breath, pull the lines, shake off the pressure, and go sailing. Not to impress anyone, not to check a box, but because it still feels good. That's the heart of it. That's how you find the fun again. So, is sailing still fun, or has it become just expensive work? The answer isn't black and white. It depends on where you are in your journey, what kind of boat you've got, and how much pressure you're putting on yourself to do it right. Yes, there are chores. Yes, the costs add up. And yes, burnout is real. But the magic of sailing doesn't vanish. It just gets buried beneath all the expectations. Sometimes you've got to step back, shake off the stress, and remember what brought you to the water in the first place. Because at the end of the day, it's still there. The wind, the waves, the quiet joy of moving under sail. And when you find it again, when you strip it all back to just you, your boat, and the breeze, there's nothing else like it. Thanks for hanging out today, friends. If this one hit home, drop a comment and tell me how you keep the fun alive, or what's been wearing you down. Until next time, keep it simple, keep it salty, and I'll see you out there.